Organizations around the world are looking for ways to help their employees communicate better. The purpose of this video is to bring awareness of day-to-day interactions that may impede upon these shared goals. Of course, interpersonal communication skills are in the top 5 most wanted skills by all employers, as reported by the National Association of Colleges and Employers in a national survey of over 200 organizations across the United States. It's not only important for interactions with superiors and clients, but with coworkers too. A recent national survey by the U.S. Department of Labor and Statistics showed that you spend more time interacting with your coworkers in a lifetime than with your significant other. Therefore, it is absolutely crucial for us as workers, but also as people who want to enjoy our workspace, to always look for ways to improve relationships with those around us. Before diving into our session today, your discussion leaders will now disseminate a quick questionnaire. Please answer each question to the best of your ability, and know that these are anonymous and will only be used to measure learning after our sessions today. Please take a few minutes to complete those now. Thank you for completing the questionnaires. This video is part of a multimodal series of videos organizations across the nation use to create positive, supportive, and productive environments for their employees. The primary goal of this video is to raise awareness about potential obstacles to communication that may arise from day-to-day casual conversations. In this first video, the topic will be centered around microaggressions. First, we will talk about what are microaggressions, how they affect relationships between coworkers and the company, and what research dictates as noteworthy developments in the study of microaggressions in the workplace. Then our actors will enact a series of scenarios that show how microaggressions can subtly penetrate your interactions with coworkers. In this portion of the video, your discussion leaders will help your groups talk through the scenarios based on questions that will appear after each scenario is complete. Finally, we will conclude with 5 actionable items to make your relationships with your coworkers respectful, mindful, and flourishing. At the end of this video, your discussion leaders will disseminate a questionnaire for you to give us feedback about today's session. If you have any questions during the video, please approach one of your discussion leaders, as they will be your primary resource for the next 20 minutes. Now, without further ado, let's get our discussion started.
Microaggressions. What are they? Unlike overt and blatant racism, which is readily identified and easily demonized, contemporary forms of racism take on a subtle, more insidious nature because they are cloaked in familiarity and passive language. In order to identify and name these racial encounters, Dr. Daryl Wing-Sue and colleagues coined the term microaggressions to highlight the small yet damaging effects these subtle racist actions have on the lives of the recipients. Microaggressions are commonplace verbal or behavioral indignities, whether intentional or unintentional, which communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative racial slights and insults.
Moving on, disability microaggression has a few themes that are seen in the workplace as well. Victims will usually experience a sense of low expectation from workers and other staff members. Even if the victim exceeds expectations, the overall response from perpetrators continue to relay a message that their expectations were low from the beginning and that they are at a fixed mark. Along with that, victims of disability microaggression encounter disregarding communication. Other employees will disregard any work-related efforts and disregard the potential that victims could reach, leaving them feeling incompetent. There are many types of microaggressions. Documented types of microaggressions covered in the literature include racial microaggression. This stems from America's racial legacies in the past, and they continue to haunt current policies and practices that create unfair disparities between minority and majority groups. From this, many racial inequalities are deeply ingrained in America's society and have now become invisible to many. Typical ways that perpetrators negate the racial experience that people live through include statements like, "I don't see color," or we are all human beings. These two forms are used to negate the victims of their experience as a racial being. Lastly, religious microaggression stems from the push of converting America to Christianity as the primary and major religion of the people. This has led to religions other than Christianity to be inferior and excluded from social norms. This has led to the exclusion of people who affiliate with minority religions, leaving them feeling an overall sense of alienation in their own country. There are two main roles during a microaggression: the perpetrator and the victim. Most of the power from microaggressions lie in the invisibility of the intent of the perpetrator and the impact that they have on the victim. When it comes to intention versus impact, the perpetrator believes to have good intentions, however, does not understand the impact that they are creating. Typically, perpetrators experience themselves as good, moral, and decent human beings who believe in equality and democracy. Thus, they find it difficult to believe that they possess biased attitudes and may engage in behaviors that are discriminatory. The perpetrator is also usually unaware of the advantages they enjoy in society and of how their attitudes and actions unintentionally discriminate others. On the other hand, the victim experiences a negative impact from the microaggression and will rerun the situation in their mind. Questions that go through the victim's mind include, did what I think happened really happen? Was this a deliberate act or an unintentional slight? How should I respond? When wanting to retaliate to the microaggression, the fear of consequences are also weighing over the victim. This leaves the victim at a loss of how to respond. They also begin rationalizing if it would be of any good to respond. And finally, the victim begins to engage in self-deception through denial of it occurring. Overall, victims who perceive and experience racial microaggressions in their lives are likely to exhibit negative mental health symptoms such as depression, anxiety, a lack of behavioral control, and having a negative view of the world. There are many types of microaggressions. Documented types of microaggressions covered in the literature include racial microaggression. This stems from America's racial legacies in the past, and they continue to haunt current policies and practices that create unfair disparities between minority and majority groups. From this, many racial inequalities are deeply ingrained in America's society and have now become invisible to many. Typical ways that perpetrators negate the racial experience that people live through include statements like, I don't see color, or we are all human beings. These two forms are used to negate the victims of their experience as a racial being. Most literature also covers gender microaggression. Gender microaggressions are unintentional or intentional actions or behaviors that exclude, demean, insult, oppress, or otherwise express hostility or indifference towards women. This stems from traditional gender role assumptions that have been created throughout history in everyday settings. When women break these gender roles, it can result in negative consequences. For example, a man who takes command at the office and shows flashes of anger may be perceived as assertive, competent, and a person who takes charge. However, if a woman exhibits the same behaviors, she may be looked at as unladylike, emotional, or hostile. These assumptions also lead to ideas of women not deserving the same opportunities, benefits, or privileges afforded to men, leaving women viewed as second-class citizens.
The work of microaggressions was done in the lens of racialized behavior, and that is the focus of the definitions. The subcategories of microaggressions include microassault, microinsult, and microinvalidation. A microassault is an explicit racial derogation characterized primarily by a verbal or nonverbal attack meant to hurt the intended victim through name-calling, avoidant behavior, or purposeful discriminatory actions. Calling someone the N-word or any other weaponized racial term is a microassault because the desire is to highlight one's racial identity, other them, and create shame in them and distaste for them by others. Microassaults are most similar to the racism of the Jim Crow era 1940s, 50s, and 60s. As the term suggests, the intent is to verbally assault the victim and imply an inferior status based solely on race. A microinsult is characterized by communications that convey rudeness and insensitivity and demean a person's racial heritage or identity. Unlike microassaults, microinsults are mainly unknown to the perpetrator. They are internalized beliefs and feelings that have been created and nurtured in a racialized environment and are offered up as fact with little to no critical assessment of their truth, validity, or impact. For instance, when a person of color is asked, "How did you get your job?" by a colleague or someone above them in the workplace hierarchy, the underlying assumption is they received external assistance or were unfairly chosen over someone who was more qualified. This is a snub to the victim's self-esteem, and this will negatively affect future work performance, which may in turn be presented as evidence that indeed the wrong individual was chosen for this job, when in actuality the work environment was unsupportive and did not lend itself for this person to flourish. A microinvalidation is characterized by communications that exclude, negate, or nullify the psychological thoughts, feelings, or experiential reality of a person of color. When a person of color shares feelings of poor service or being overlooked in the marketplace, if the response is, "Don't be so sensitive," or "They probably didn't mean it that way," these are considered microinvalidations. Regardless of the intent of the respondent, the lived reality of the person of color is being diminished, and therefore their feelings, experiences, and in turn their lives are given less weight, credence, and importance.
Microaggressions in the workplace can be described in 8 separate domains, the first of which being ascription of intelligence. This domain pertains to an assignment of intelligence based upon a person's race, culture, or ethnicity. An example of this can be managers or co-workers micromanaging employees of color such as African American or Latinx because they assume that they will not be able to get the work done without their help. The second domain, colorblindness and assimilation, pertains to the idea of not acknowledging race and thinking that it is better to assimilate within the dominant culture in both personal behaviors and within the organization. An example of this could be a coworker or a manager telling an employee that they don't see color. This denies the person of their racial and ethnic experiences. The third domain, criminality and assumption of criminal status. This domain pertains to the statement or actions that presume that a person of color is dangerous, criminal, or deviant based upon their race, culture, or ethnicity. An example of this could be assuming or being suspicious of people of color if things come up lost or missing in the workplace. The fourth domain, myth of meritocracy, pertains to the statements or actions that race, culture, or ethnicity does not play a role in life's success. An example of this can be employees believing that minority or persons of color in the workplace have only been hired due to affirmative action. The fifth domain is pathologizing cultural values and communication styles. This domain pertains to thinking that values and communication of the dominant white culture are ideal and that something is wrong with non-white culture and communication. An example of this domain could be ostracizing a coworker who doesn't identify as Christian or celebrate Christmas as if their religious beliefs aren't as valuable as the others. The sixth domain is traditional prejudicing and stereotyping. This domain pertains to the event that occurs when expectations of traditional roles or stereotypes are conveyed, such as assumptions that people have about race and culture. An example of this could be assuming a coworker of Asian descent speaks Chinese. The seventh domain is denial of racism. This domain pertains to statements or actions by others that deny their ability, intent, or capability of being racist. An example of this could be a coworker, after being called out for a racist remark, saying that they weren't being racist and that the person who took it as being racist was just being very sensitive. The final domain is environmental microaggressions. This domain pertains to microaggressions manifested on systemic and environmental levels corresponding to the workplace, process, and workplace climate and culture. An example of an environmental microaggression could be a manager or boss's refusal to address diversity in the workplace. Microaggressions can have a detrimental effect on the workplace. Employees who had experience with the 8 domains reported sadness or feeling generally unhappy with the workplace. Caution, feeling like they could not collaborate with coworkers on programs, projects, or initiatives, while others became dismissive, some became angry, and even sought other employment. Scenario 1. Communicating with coworkers from different cultures. Pay attention to the interactions between David and Natalia. See if you can find what David is doing wrong.
Okay, everybody, this looks good. We did good work here. So, as you know, I have to step out for my conference call. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
For sure. So I noticed that you're new here. Where are you coming from?
Oh, I'm just coming from the union. I came to the University of Illinois a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that's cool. So then where are you, like, from?
What do you mean?
Like, you seem to have very good English, so, but where are you, like, your family from?
Reassess the situation and see if you can spot any adjustments that David may have made.
So I just got your changes. This looks really good, y'all. Perfect. Now I'm going to step out, hit this conference call really quickly. I'll be right back.
For sure.
Thanks.
Hey, so I noticed you're new here.
Yeah, I just joined the University of Illinois a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
cool. Tell me about yourself, you know?
Well, I'm a first-year grad student from Kent State. I'm studying communications.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'm a first-year grad student here, too. So are you getting used to the cold weather yet?
No, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm from Puerto Rico, so this weather is terrible.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, I mean, I'd definitely love to be in Puerto Rico right now.
I'll bring you with me next time. We can do a working thing.
Dang, okay.
Yeah, we'll talk to Ashley about it.
Bet.
Scenario 2. Communicating with coworkers from different religions. See if you can spot anything that might be problematic.
Alright, so anybody have any questions about the presentation? I think a couple things that we touched on as far as like quarterly projections should be good going into next week.
No, I completely agree. If we could focus on the bar graph, I think that highlights our earnings better than the pie chart.
Yeah, the pie chart just didn't really conclude everything very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh goodness. I have to step out for a minute. If you all could excuse me, I'll be right back. All right?
Yeah, for sure. Do you know why he's doing all the time?
I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, where does he go every day?
It's so weird. Like, it's always the same time, too. Like, I've almost started to, like, time it every time.
It's like perfect time.
Yeah.
I don't know how he gets his work done.
Man, no idea.
Yeah.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
All right,
good.
sorry about that.
No, you know, Steve, I actually had a question. You know, where do you be going? Where do you be going every time you leave?
Well, I actually go and do my midday prayer.
Oh, for just for fun, or?
Actually, no, I'm a Muslim.
You're black.
Yeah. So like you have to pray like 20 times a day, because like you're just always leaving. So.
Man, I don't get any smoke breaks.
Take another look at the scenario. Notice how David and Ashley's intent changes the dynamics of the conversation.
All right, so did anybody have any questions about the presentation? I think we'll be good going into Q4 with the things that we discussed.
No, I think it looks really good. I'm proud of the work that we've done. And if you think about it, when we go forward, next week, I believe, is the presentation. If we could focus on the bar graph and some of the pie chart, I think that highlights our work a little bit
Yeah,
better.
the pie chart. I mean, we might as well almost just take it out.
Okay. Well, I think that's good feedback. Just moving on. Actually, if you all could excuse me, I have to step out for a minute.
Sure.
Be right back, all right?
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, do you know why he always steps away?
Honestly, I'm not sure, but I don't know him very well, so it could be anything.
Yeah, I've been wondering it for a little bit now.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that.
Hey, no, yeah, for sure.
Had to step away.
Hey, Steve, I hope you don't mind me asking, but like, I noticed you be leaving around the same time every day. Like, everything all good?
Yeah, so actually, I usually leave during midday. It's part of my midday prayer for my religious beliefs.
Oh, you see, yeah, I was just wondering making sure that everything was okay, you know.
Very cool.
That's cool though.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that. Thank you for checking up. Yeah, you wanna how about like proposal actually?
Sorry, what?
Hey David, could you help me out with the proposal that we have to do for Ashley?
Just so you know, I can hear you. You were just mumbling, so I couldn't understand you. But, I'm actually kind of busy, so...
Oh, I thought you couldn't hear me because of hearing aid.
No, yeah, that's the purpose of it, so that I can hear.
When taking a second look at this scenario, notice the improvement of the communication between David and Stephen and the result that it gets.
Ma'am, David, could you help me with the proposal we have to do for Ashley?
I'm sorry, wait, can you repeat that?
I'm sorry, what was I unclear with?
It just, I didn't fully understand what you said.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was saying we got these reports due for Ashley. Could you help me kind of figure out what we're going to give her? They kind of do at the end of the week.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. What do you need help with?
Just want to make sure we got the charts all down for. I want to make sure the numbers make sense. So she's real stickler about the stats.
Got yeah, I'll get right on that.
All right, thank you so much, man.
All right, no problem.
All right.
Scenario 4. Communicating with people in different power positions. Think about Natalia's implicit bias and how it can affect her within this job opportunity.
Hi, I was wondering where I could get more information about a job posting that I saw.
Hey, have a seat. All right, that's wonderful. Yeah, it's how did you hear about us?
So I was looking on the website and it said that there was a job position, so to come talk to the hiring manager, so here I am.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, that's great to hear. We have a wonderful team, great culture here, and we're always looking for new talent. Unfortunately, our hiring manager is out for the day. Would want to talk to the director?
Sure, where is he? Where can I find him?
Hi, I'm the director.
This time, see if you can notice the difference between the way Natalia frames her questions and the implications of that.
Hi, excuse me.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Steven.
Hi, Steven. And your name?
I'm Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. Yes, I was trying to find more information about how to apply to work here.
Oh, that's great. Have a seat. We'd love to chat with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Your name?
My name's Natalia. Yes.
Nice to meet you, Natalia. So yeah, we have a great culture here. We love. I love working for the company, and we're always looking for new talent. Unfortunately, though, our hiring manager is out. So would you be interested in talking to the director?
Sure. Where can I find the director?
You've already found her.
Oh, perfect. Hi. Nice to meet you officially.
Likewise. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're interested in our company. Here at the SAM Corporation, we work diligently to create a beautiful culture for our employees.
We definitely do work diligently. Might be a little bit too diligently.
Stop.
Well, I would love to learn more information for both of you. Thank you so much for your help.
Perfect. Let's go to my office and we can talk more there.
Sure.
Okay.
Scenario 5. Communicating with coworkers with different interests. Think about how this interaction may have an impact on David and Stephen's working relationship in the future.
Steve, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, Dave?
Doing good. Man, you see those playoff games last night?
Playoff games. No.
Yeah, the NBA ones. Like Kyrie didn't even play, and I thought that they were going to totally lose.
Oh man, wow, that's crazy. I don't even watch basketball. I'm sorry.
What?
No, I watch basketball.
Dude, I could have swore that you played basketball all the time. Like, you had to play it in the past, have you?
Nope, never watched basketball, never played basketball. I was more of a lacrosse guy.
Oh, for real? Man, I was going to totally ask you to be on my 2-on-2 game.
2-on-2, huh?
Yeah, but, oh well, I guess I got to find someone else.
I guess you do.
When watching this time, think about the types of questions that David is asking Stephen and how their interactions change.
Steve, how you doing?
Hey Dave, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. You know, you catch any of the basketball games last night?
No, I don't really watch basketball.
Oh, you don't? Oh, you got a favorite show or something?
Not really. I'm usually too busy to watch TV. I mostly just like read books and watch reruns of Pretty Little Liars.
You watch Pretty Little Liars?
Yeah, that's my show.
Dude, I'm still trying to figure out who A is.
Really?
Yeah.
Bro, 5 seasons and I have no idea.
Oh, hey, I'm on season 3 still, so no spoilers.
I definitely won't spoil it. But look, after work sometimes maybe we can like hang out, catch up on. I can catch you up to season 5.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
All right, well that's a plan, man.
All right, yeah.
All right, man.
Scenario 6. Communicating in work meetings. Taking all the information that you have learned from the previous 5 modules, see how many microaggressions you can spot in this last and final video.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
No, I'm doing good. Just stayed up a little late watching basketball games.
Man, that game
All right,
was
David, glad you made it.
crazy last night,
So
man.
let's get started since everybody's here.
Can you believe
I can't believe it.
that the Celtics
Guys,
won?
let's get started because everybody's here now. We're waiting, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but like Kyrie didn't even play, right? Like it was crazy. It was like ridiculous.
Okay, so as far as marketing, we have February and March coming up, which are, of course, as we know, Black History Month and Women's History Month.
Yeah, you know, I really feel like the Black History program that we did last year, you know, we should just do that again for this year.
Okay, but last year we didn't really meet any of our objectives or programming outcomes.
Okay, actually, we'll just table that for later. I think we should really get into Women's History Month. For Women's History Month, I really feel like women would want something kind of like a big grand gesture, like something, maybe like pink pins, something like that, maybe.
Actually, I really think we should probably pay attention to working moms in particular. You know, there have been rumors and concerns raised of the fact that the daycare isn't really in the best shape. So I think we should focus our energies for Women's History Month.
I think what Natalia means is that the women, the mothers who within the company should be like the recipients of like the cornerstone of the program, right? They get the best pink pins.
That's not really what I mean.
Well, hang on, wait. Before, you know, we continue with this, so with Black History Month, like, okay, something to probably add to it, we can just shout out all the Black students on Twitter or something like that, you know? I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, well, you know, as one of the leadership of the Black Cultural Center, I think I should have a say in both what kind of a Black woman.
Wait, you're the director of the Black Cultural Center?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm leadership there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you even Black?
Before moving on to our closing, your discussion leaders will now distribute a final questionnaire. Answer each question to the best of your ability, and know that these are anonymous and will only be used to measure learning after our session today. Please take a few minutes to complete those now. Congratulations! You have completed the first video of our multimodal series of videos meant to improve communication with coworkers. The primary goal of this video was to raise awareness about potential obstacles to communication that may arise from day-to-day casual conversations. We grounded our conversation around microaggressions and applied our acquired knowledge through discussions of common workplace scenarios. At this time, Sands and Associates would like to thank today's discussion leaders for facilitating personalized help throughout our session today. For the Module 1.2, please follow the link below. For additional resources regarding microaggressions in the workplace, please visit our website. If you would like to connect with us, please do not hesitate to follow any of our social media pages for one-on-one help and tailored resources. Thank you for participating in Sand & Associates Video Module 1.1.